Yes, all right then, lads. Welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. We are back again this evening. It is the 9 p.m. show, and obviously, make sure you're really set it, because this time we're going to try to dive into Arsenal transfer news. Still Arsenal transfers. Dennis Zakaria, a swap deal that has been proposed between Zakaria and Eddie Nketiah. Two players that are really, really unsettled. Two players that I think this deal would actually work for, because both of them, trust me, both of them really want to leave their clubs. Both of them really want to leave their respectful, respectable, clubs. So, is it called respectable? Is it called respectful? I think it's called respectful, right? I don't know, but we're gonna try to dive into that. Could Arsenal maybe pull off that one? Could we pull off that? Among all the transfers, can we pull off that swap deal? It would make a lot of sense. I'm going to make you try to understand why I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to share my own opinions on it. But apart from that, I also want us to talk about Gabriel Martinelli and the January transfer fiasco. Martinelli on loan. Look, I've already said this is something that I do not want to hear of. It's something that I don't even fancy. I want myself to be speaking about Gabriel Martinelli and a loan deal. It's one thing. Look, I've always protested with our players going out on loan, the likes of William Saliba, the likes of Matteo Guendouzi, and I'm protesting another time Gabriel Martinelli. One player I don't want to listen to speaking about loan deals. I don't even want Arsenal to be thinking about loaning him out at any point in time in his career. Not this season, not next season, not this year, not next year, not any other time. I still think if Smith Rowe got a breakthrough, if Saka got a breakthrough, Martinelli definitely is going to get his breakthrough as well. And finally, we will speak about Dominic Szoboszlai. Back in the news. My favorite, Dominic Szoboszlai. Like you can see on the screen, I've already changed the league position. Arsenal are 5th on the table. That is already officially changed. Very, very sorry for the first two videos where we had Arsenal in 7th, in 6th, in 8th. The league position is actually changed, and now you can see really where we are. 5th on the table. Show is brought to you by the beautiful people at H&S Gamers. Of course, I've got to give them a big shout out for sponsoring me and for sponsoring the show and the channel. Thank you so much, H&S. They are found in Makerere. If you love anything, attached to gaming, if you love playing cars, if you like Formula One, any game, any virtual game, any game that you want to play on Xbox, on PS4, on PS5, they got you covered. So make sure you do check them out as well. But let's try to dive into now some of the bigger stories that's around our club, and I'm going to start off with the swap deal between Dennis Zakaria and Eddie Nketiah. Look, I think Gladbach are becoming a little bit more and more unsettled, just like a couple of other clubs that just like any other club, you will be unsettled. You're going to be unsettled when your best player, one of your best players, actually is set to leave in not even in the summer, but in a January transfer window. There is going to be unrest. There's going to be a lot of panicking. What should we do here and there? Now, the story that we are discussing at the moment is coming in from Football.London, and they are saying that there could be a potential swap deal between Dennis Zakaria and Eddie Nketiah. Now, this is a story. Eddie Nketiah is wanted by a couple of clubs down in Germany, including Borussia Mönchengladbach and including Bayer Leverkusen. Obviously, we know last summer there was some pocket of space for him to leave, something that really didn't happen. Look, I thought Eddie was going to leave, and yesterday we were talking with Glenn. I've seen Glenn on. Thank you so much, bro, for always tuning in. And obviously, make sure you do check out Glenn's channel as well. But we say this, that it's one of the unbelievable things that happened in the summer, us having Nketiah still at the club. It's something that was unbelievable, and I don't believe at the moment that he's still here, but he's still here, and he has a goal this season. He has a goal this season, in the Carabao Cup. But he's one player that's never gonna get game time at Arsenal. We know that. Look, it is not sugarcoating. It's not us trying to be the nice guys. He's not going to get the game time he needs at Arsenal. At the moment, you have Arsenal looking for a new striker. You have Aubameyang trying to pull up his socks. You have Alexander Lacazette probably also trying to pull up his socks this season. So it's going to be a very, very competitive season. And I think Gabriel Martinelli is way miles ahead of him, despite the fact that Pepe and Martinelli do not start for Arsenal. But they're ahead of him. And if it is anyone that should be coming on in pecking order, for me, Martinelli first, Pepe second, Balogun third, and then Nketiah fourth. So I feel, I still feel he's actually dropped out of favor. He's not good enough. So the swap deal between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Arsenal would involve Gladbach sending Zakaria to London and Arsenal sending Nketiah to Borussia to Gladbach or to Borussia Mönchengladbach. So the big question I would love to ask you people is, what do you think about this deal? Is it a deal that you think makes sense? Look, it might make sense to some point, and it might also not make sense to some degree. One, look, Zakaria's contract runs down in the summer. So is Nketiah. Zakaria has rejected a new contract at Borussia Mönchengladbach, and that's why they are sweating, and that's why they are struggling. We are not struggling, but the truth is Nketiah has refused to renew his contract. I think the reason as to why he's refused to renew his contract is he knows even if he signs a new contract, right, he's not going to get the game time. What are you going to tell him? That, look, we're going to give you 50K per week with game time. Like, are you going to start ahead of Aubameyang? No. Are you going to start ahead of Lacazette? No. Are you starting ahead of Pepe and Martinelli or Balogun at the moment? Probably ahead of Balogun, which is also unjust and very, very unfair. So it's a deal that makes some sense. It's to some degree. Two players whose contracts are running down, exchange them. Gladbach are really having problems with goal scoring this season. They've scored some of the, they're among the clubs in the German Bundesliga that have scored the least number of goals, despite the fact that we know so many goals in the German Bundesliga always hit the back of the net. So look, Gladbach are not awful, and I'm saying this. They're not awful. They have likes of Brice Embolo, up front. So they are not really awful. Actually, I think last midweek, but one, they thumped Bayern Munich 5-0. 5-0. Can you imagine thumping Bayern? Bayern, that is the club that is actually flying, and they thumped Bayern with all the Bayern Munich players in, the likes of Lewandowski, Sane, Goretzka, Kimmich. You can name anyone, the usual suspects, and Manuel Neuer. They were all in. But I just feel like Gladbach need a way out. I don't think it's going to be a direct transfer where they come and say, we are selling this player, we are selling this particular player to Arsenal Football Club. I don't feel like it's going to be like that. And if it is like that, if it ends up being like that, it would be very, very, very fortunate for Arsenal. But I don't feel like it's going to be like that. They might look at one or two options. One is they might want to still tell the player, please stay. They might want to push the player to stay in Germany. They might want to do that. The other option they have, if the player actually refuses to stay, is they might decide to sell him to the highest bidder in January. And that is where the problem is, because Arsenal are not the only club that are looking out for players in January. And because we know that the availability of players in January is always scarce. If there is if there is a true definition of scarcity, it is players, decent players in the January transfer window. There is that is the true definition of scarcity. So what do Arsenal need to do, and what should we do to get a player like Denis Zakaria in January? One, you've got to entice the deal. Look, I feel like Eddie could be a point to entice the deal. If they are looking at around 24 million in a player whose contract is running down, maybe you could give them 15 million with Eddie Nketiah. I don't know whether they would accept the deal at the moment, but that is, that is something that I think and I feel if Arsenal did it, we would be on the right track. Would absolutely be on the right track. The other thing that I think we should be doing, and I truly recommend, is if it's not if it's not a direct swap deal, we could give them Eddie Nketiah. Now, this doesn't really make a lot of sense because Eddie is not signing a new contract. But if Eddie had signed a new contract, you'd give them Eddie Nketiah until the end of the season, or you give them Eddie Nketiah on a season-long loan, in exchange for the services of Dennis Zakaria. After all, it is us to benefit from such a deal. Our player, our Star Trek striker, in Eddie Nketiah gets playing time, and we get a very, very highly classy midfielder ready for the Premier League, and ready to compete on a big European stage. Right. So it's a swap deal that could make some sense for me. It's a swap deal that could make some sense for me. And look, it's a swap deal again that might not make any sense to someone else, because one would say, how much are we getting from Eddie Nketiah? 15 million. How much are we buying Dennis Zakaria? 15 million. Can't we just swap the two? Can't we just swap the two players directly? And look, I'm saying 15 million from Eddie Nketiah because it's English, and of course, the English premium. Ben White, 50 million. Rossi Barkley, blah, blah million. You have Jack Grealish, 100 million. It's, there is always that English premium that, is attached to signing or selling a young, English talent. And for me at the moment, the young English talent we have is Eddie Nketiah. I don't know whether he could be successful at a club like Arsenal, but what I know is he can be a success at Gladbach, because Gladbach, even in the German Bundesliga, where they play very open football, where they create a lot of chances, where the defenders are going to let you, have holidays, have a laugh. I still feel like, I still feel like if he goes to Germany, a league that doesn't have that pressure, and again, to a club like Gladbach that are fighting just for Europa League or Conference League, right? Okay, Europa League. Of course, don't get me wrong. We've seen Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Champions League. We've seen them. They have qualified, and of course, it's the fact that that fourth place in Germany, and the fourth and third place is really shared by different clubs. You have Dortmund there at times. You have Leipzig there at times. Leverkusen there at times. Wolfsburg, at times they are there. Hoffenheim. I don't remember the last time I saw them in the Champions League, but definitely they have been boys of the Europa League. You have Schalke 04 that is now relegated, but you still remember the last time we played, among the last times we played in the Champions League, we did play against Schalke 04. They still had Julian Draxler then. If you don't remember, they had Draxler, and they also had Jan Klaas Huntelaar. Now you remember. We lost 2-0 way back in Germany. So Gladbach for me would be a suitable companion to a player like Eddie Nketiah. And by the levels of Dennis Zakaria, yes, I know there's going to be a lot of war, right? One, can you convince Gladbach to sell in January, which might not be actually a big problem. But the other problem that's going to be there is Newcastle and bloody Spurs. They're not going to let Arsenal have a laugh. They're not going to just sit back and say, oh, Arsenal is signing Dennis Zakaria. They're signing a classy midfielder. Let us just sit back. Let us just wait and see what happens. No, I doubt they can do that. I doubt they can say that. It's going to be a big tug of war, right? It's going to be a very, very, very big tug of war. So, look, for me, in the end point is if Arsenal get Dennis Zakaria, it is hitting two birds with one stone. I was about to say two stones, probably two stones and two stones, four birds, right? But it is to put language and semantics right. It is one stone, two birds, because one, you're getting a very very quick solution to Thomas Partey's absence and his injury prone cover is provided for. And as well, you have Granit Xhaka, who's injured at the moment. So Zakaria does all that. He's not the box to box that you want. He's not that kind of box that's gonna be busy, be flamboyant, a midfield dynamite. He's more like a midfield rock. He doesn't really sparkle a lot as a midfielder, but trust me, you're going to love his concentration as a defensive midfielder. He's a very, very, very good defensive midfielder, and I think, look, I don't think he's gonna take over Partey. And I know if I was Swiss, or if you're Swiss and you watch this video, you have smashed the like button. I know. Please make sure you do smash a like on the video. Let's get this to 100 likes and over 200 likes. Over replay. But the truth is that if you get a player like Dennis Zakaria at Arsenal in January, a lot has been done. You've done a lot of work. You've really, really done a lot of work within the same sample space, right? A lot of work within the same space. One, Xhaka is covered for when he leaves in the summer. Two, Partey is covered for when he gets injured. Three, Partey is covered for when he goes out for AFCON in January. And definitely, five, you have a Thomas Partey partner, right? So it's like hitting so many birds with one shot, right? With one shot. And that's that is really one thing that I really love to see happen. I want to see us to make some smart transfers. Look, we do make some smart transfers. We do. Like we can go out there and get a Martinelli for 2-3 million, and then becomes a star. We look at Smith Rowe from academy. Look at Saka. Look at Gabriel, Ben White. That is expensive. Look at Tomiyasu, look at Nketiah and Nuno Tavares. Those are smart signings with Albasam Lekong as well. Those are really, really smart signings. Very, very smart signings. So, look, if we are not going to run big budgets, if you're not going to run excessively strong budgets, right? If you're not going to run excessively strong budgets, we need to spend smart. And I think that's more like the Liverpool approach. Of course, Josh Kroenke has already come out and said that there needs to be change in strategy. But I don't think Arsenal is going to change strategy by spending 50 million, on 5 players per summer. No. What is actually going to be the case is, I think right from next summer, Arsenal will be spending between 40 to 45 million pounds per summer. Whether that means bringing in 3 players or 4 players or 1 player, it will depend. But it's going to be more of Arsenal now being linked with players whose value is a little bit up, but less in number. So you might see, I think the rumors will be flying around, right? I mean, we'll be linked with anyone. We've been linked with Lorenzo Insigne. Have you heard of this story? So, I mean, the stories will run around. The stories will fly around. But in the end, for me, the basic part of it is, can we do the signings and can we do them smart? Zakaria is a smart signing. Even if we pay 24 million for a 24-year-old midfielder at the moment, right? It makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. So, look, if you have doubts on Zakaria, can he work for Arsenal? I think look, I don't want to say perfect, because when I say perfect, and he has a bad game, I'm gonna score him. But there's no player who's perfect. But I just feel like he is that player that Arsenal could use. He's that player that we are looking for. We missed out on Sumare. We didn't sign Diawara from Roma. We missed out on Didi. We missed out on a couple of players. But probably Zakaria is one exception. We missed out on Manuel Locatelli. But probably Zakaria. So for me, it is smart business. If Arsenal can get it off the line. Eddie Look, that is what they have to do. Look, give them Kolasinac as well. Give them Kolasinac. We could give them Kolasinac, right? Because Kolasinac is used to German football. He loves German football, and he's played in German with with Schalke 04. He was at least once voted for was it left back of the year, right? Fullback of the year. I don't remember, but by the time we signed him, he was fullback of the year, right? At in Germany, at Schalke 04. So look, guys, the end story for me is Arsenal need a way to bridge the deficiencies that are going to happen in January. We are going to need a way, and that way is not going to come easy. Because look, we are speaking about Zakaria coming in, provided we don't sustain any more injuries, which is actually, it makes me very, very skeptical. Because look, you might bring in Zakaria, and Ainsley gets injured, and Lokonga gets injured as well. Where do you go from there? So probably it's going to be, we might need at least two of them in January. And that's why I think one of them has to be at that level, right? Look, because look, you could just go out there and get anyone, right, whose contract is running down, get them in January and throw them away, just like we did with Matthew Ryan, and don't sign them. That's what I mean. But I think we might have to mind the quality of the players that we go for in January. I just feel like that. Big up to Ivan, says hi, Cossy. Hi to Ivan. Anthony says it's respective. Thank you so much. Atanda says hi, Cossy. How are you doing? Glenn says get ready to change the league position to first in a couple of months. Look, that is what I want. That is absolutely what I want. What's up, Cossy? How are you doing, Jason? And then Dennis says, what players do you expect will join Arsenal? Look, at the moment, I can only talk about league. I can only talk about positions that we need to fulfill. Positions where we need players, and probably I'm going to touch on that. But at the moment, I cannot really point into squads and say I think this one will join, because we do not have really, we have not yet initiated strong contact with many players. It's only Fiorentina that has been reported to have something like an agreement with Arsenal. The rest of the players, there is no agreement. There is no strong contact. Yes, we've shown interest in Dennis Zakaria, but that is as much as we know. Just interest. There is not much contact. There is not much officiality or official agreements at the moment. So, but look, Zakaria for me is an easy deal to do. It's an easy deal to do if you put the competition aside. It's an easy deal to do. Convince Gladbach that if they don't sell, they will lose the player. Look, it's not about convincing them, because they know it, that if they don't sell, they risk losing the player on a free. They risk losing a player, without getting a penny. They don't want that, do they? Look, I don't know. I mean, clubs are crazy. I'm telling you, clubs are crazy. Dudes could say, look, whether we lose him or we don't lose him, we are not, whether we lose him on a free or we don't lose him on a free, we are not actually, giving him, up in January. Dudes are crazy. But for me, I don't feel like they'll be that crazy. If we put a decent offer, because I know Newcastle will try to put up a decent offer. Eddie Howe, I mean, he's one kind of a bowler coach. So he needs those players, the likes of the Zakaria, strengthen the midfield and make it better. At least players better than Jonji Shelvey. I think Spurs as well. I don't know if Conte might try to show interest in Dennis Zakaria. Obviously, we'll talk about Dusan Vlahovic, because Conte has thrown in his face in our deal. He's saying he wants the player. He's saying, he needs to take the player, and I'm absolutely disgusted, by this story. But, still talking about the positive vibes. I still feel like Arsenal do have the opportunity to sign in Dennis Zakaria, given that competition is beaten. Because I think that is our biggest problem. It's gonna be the competition. I doubt we are going to have these, all these kind of, free AC, free rides on the player. Now, I doubt we shall have. I think it's going to be a point of, can you beat us? Like, look, and I just feel like I don't know, but I just feel like we can beat any team. I just feel strong. I think it's courtesy of our summer transfer window. I just feel like if there is any club that wants to stand between us and a potential signing, I just feel like we can beat them. I don't know. I just feel like I just feel like we can beat them, but it's not going to be that easy. It's really not going to be that easy because clubs want players, and clubs do have the money, right? Make sure you smash a like on the video. Thanks everybody for watching in, and thanks everybody for supporting the team as well. Let's try to dive into Vlahovic. Just a little update, because I said it's going to almost be a daily business, a daily a daily update on Dusan Vlahovic, following the fact that they have said that Arsenal are actually closing in on that deal from Dimarzio. So it's we'll try to follow up on a daily basis, try to see what is happening with my man Dusan Vlahovic. So at the moment, Vlahovic is being wanted by Antonio Conte, and Arsenal could lose the deal. Come on, it's the last piece of news I would love to deliver today. Trust me, honestly, it's the last piece of news I would love to deliver today, that Vlahovic could snap Arsenal. That could be that there could be a transfer snap where Dusan Vlahovic actually heads to Spurs. Look, they've always wanted him. We know that. They've always wanted him. They've always wanted that kind of striker that can maybe replace Harry Kane. And I think the fact that Harry Kane is no longer scoring goals, and the fact that they have promised Antonio Conte close to 200 million to spend, he's gonna go crazy. He'll go for the likes of Dusan Vlahovic. He'll go for any decent talent out there. He's going to go for any decent talent that is available, and that's why I think it is very, very, very key and crucial that Arsenal get their targets right and get them very, very early. If we get a target like Dusan Vlahovic, it's better we take the lead than wait for competition to kick in. Because if Newcastle came in for Dusan Vlahovic, and they told them 80 million, they will spend that money. Look, they will spend that money. Newcastle will spend that money. Spurs, because they're afraid of losing the manager now, they are in that position where they will spend ridiculously, because they know if Conte is not happy, he is gonna leave. So at the end, at the end of it all, if Dusan Vlahovic goes to Spurs, I won't be surprised. I said this in the earlier video today, and I said with Vlahovic, you have a player who's played in Italy, right? There are a couple of reasons why he might choose. There are a couple of reasons as to why I think he might choose to go to Spurs rather than Arsenal. Maybe because of Conte. That's one of the reasons, and that is the most valid reason. Antonio Conte, he knows. He's one of the best managers he has seen in their league way back at home. He's now playing with he's now in one of the best leagues in the world. Who doesn't want to play under Antonio Conte? And I look, this is not me trying to disrespect Mikel. I know Mikel is a manager, with a project going forward. Doesn't have the pedigree, but he's a manager with a project going forward. But at the moment, if Spurs come in for any of our targets, they stand a chance. They have a manager, so they stand a chance. They absolutely do stand a chance. But anyway, look, if we miss out on Dusan Vlahovic, for me, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. After all, I still think our number 9, number 10 positions need to be filled, and that could be done in the summer. It can always be done in the summer. No, look, that is not me trying to say that we don't need them and we don't need players to come in. But I think for a striker, the summer is there. The summer is always there. We can always go for him in the summer, and it can still work out. For a central midfielder, still the summer is there. Look, all these transfers, we want a quick fix because our ambition as Arsenal fans is to go back to Europe. I can't believe I'm saying this, right? I can't believe I'm saying this, but our ambition is to go back to European football. That is what Arsenal fans want, and that is what all the fans want. Every fan of a football club in Europe, you want to see your club being represented, on some of the biggest stages out there. We are talking about Champions League. We're talking about Europa League. Forget the Conference League. I am not interested, right? So, to avoid Conference League football, you need to avoid 7th and below. Or seven, is it called 7th and above or and below? Because 7th, 8th, that is going above. But on the table, 7th, below, 8th is below. So, in whichever way you put it, we need to avoid 7th and below. And to do that, you need consistency. To do that, you need to avoid burnout. With a small squad like Arteta has of 3 midfielders, 2 strikers, and 4 decent defenders, it is going to be very, very hard to achieve that. You need a broader squad so that you can manage burnout. But even things like injuries, uncertainties like injuries, you can deal with them at a better level. I love Zakaria as a player. That's according to Patrick. Thank you so much, Patrick. And Benson says, hi, Cossy. I think Arsenal can easily get Dusan and Zakaria if they are serious on the deals. Thank you so much. Big up to Ebo as well. Hi, Cossy. That's according to Kizo. Big up to Kizo. Zakaria is really a good signing if he comes in. That's according to Kenneth. And then he says, what players do you expect? I've answered that as well. Make sure you smash a like on the video, people, and make sure you do share with me your thoughts on any January players you would love to see. Because look, for me, if we don't go for Zakaria, which I think we will try to, but if we miss out on Zakaria, it's not the end of the world, right? It's not the end of the world. I would rate Dortmund. I don't know. Dortmund really do not love selling in January, but I'll try to raid Dortmund and get in a player. I don't know whether he's fit at the moment, but I'll try to pursue Mahmoud Daoud, right? Look, I don't know if any of you has watched Mahmoud Daoud. Daoud is actually a player that came from Borussia Mönchengladbach and joined Borussia Dortmund. At the moment, I think Dortmund are flying in the league. They've been doing well. Did we lose our last game in the league? Yes, against Leipzig. They lost the game against Leipzig. I do love Dortmund. That's why I said we. But I mean, look, Dortmund could maybe give us Mahmoud Daoud. I don't know, because for me, Daoud is another good player, another beautiful talent. Very, very beautiful, solid player. Very good passing. Is intelligent. I love his reactiveness in the midfield. Maybe look, I don't know. Maybe we can. Maybe we can't. It's at times it is a do or die, right? But it never has to try, and that's what I've already said. It never has to try. Go to Dortmund and table some money, probably 20 million, and tell them we need Mahmoud Daoud, and listen to their opinions. Listen to what they have. Listen to what they have to say. Look, they might not be big fans of selling in January, but you never know, right? Things do change. They could say, okay, Arsenal, what are you saying? You need Mahmoud Daoud. Give us that. Give us 18 million. Give us 22 million, and we get because I'm a big fan of Mahmoud Daoud as well. I'm also a very, very big fan of look, William Carvalho is 30 at the moment. I was a big fan of him at Sporting Lisbon, but he's now 30. But look, I don't think Real Betis would do a loan deal. I don't think they would do a January loan deal. So probably that is a little bit out of the picture. Nabil Fekir is too advanced for that position. He's become a very, very advanced player. So probably out of the picture as well. Probably you could go to Madrid and ask for Asensio on a 6-month loan loan deal and see how he works out. So whether we get Zakaria or not, it's not the end of the world. Whether we get Dusan Vlahovic or not, it's actually not the end of the world. But look, January, we have Leno and the goalkeeping situation. What do we need to do? Leno is look, I'm gonna say this. He's kept it very, very professional until this moment, and we need. I think we need to give him a round of applause. I don't know if we need to give him a round of applause, but I just feel like we need to give him a round of applause at the moment. He's been so professional, right? Until look, the last time he spoke out, he said, "I don't know why I'm not playing football." Right? He said, "I don't know why I'm not playing football, but definitely it is not because that I'm not good enough." That's what he said. But look, January, Leno, he might leave, right? If the right offer comes in, he will leave. I'm very, very sure about that, and that's gonna create some big goalkeeping situation at Arsenal. Very, very big. And we're gonna try to we're gonna talk about that. All right. Let's see what your people are saying. Patrick says, "I love Zakaria as a player." All right. Okay. Hi, Cosses. I think Arsenal can easily get those deals done. Anu says, "If Arsenal are serious, they'll get those deals done." Oluranti says, "Hi, Cossy. Good evening, bro. I will love the guy Zakaria to join Arsenal Football Club. Thank you so much, Oluranti as well." Jody Mabaya says we should get top 4 finish. That should be a full podcast with Glenn, whether we can get to top 4. And then Muhammad says, "Hi. What about Van der Beek? If we miss Dennis Zakaria?" Let me get to that. I'm going to get back to that as well. Kenneth says, we may as well grab Cossy from AC Milan or Solomon. I'm going to get back to that as well. Glenn says, "Do you think we need a backup centre back in January, or do you trust Murray holding Chambers until May?" And then Dennis says, "What position do you expect Arsenal to finish?" Okay, look, very interesting debates. Very, very interesting debates in the comment section. I love it when you guys ask questions because it gives me time to speak and engage with you. Look, let me finish up with Leno. Leno is being expected to leave Arsenal in January. Look, I cannot block Leno because, one, if he's sitting on the bench whole season, he knows it, that he loses his place in the World Cup on the German national team. He's being looked at as one of those players that could directly succeed Manuel Neuer. Him, Ter Stegen, I don't know where Tim Horn is. I don't know where Tim Horn is, but probably Tim Horn would have been another. Do I know of any other? Do you know of any other good German goalkeeper at the moment? I think those are the 3 players that I know of that could succeed. Of course, I don't watch much of the Bundesliga, but those are the 3 players that could succeed Manuel Neuer. Look, let me tell you this, guys. I won't be surprised because Bayern have always done this. I won't be surprised if Bayern come in for Leno. I won't be surprised. Remember, they came in for Serge Gnabry. They made him a star. They came back for Leroy Sané, right, last summer, and I was flying. So I won't be surprised if at the end of the day Bayern come and say, you useless boys of England, of London, give us our man. We know what he can do. We know his potential, and we're going to make him a decent goalkeeper and a high-class goalkeeper. And I believe if Leno goes out to Germany, he becomes a super goalkeeper. He really becomes a super goalkeeper. Look, his problem is playing out from the back, and Manuel Neuer as a super goalkeeper, it's always going to be hard for Leno to replace Neuer. But he knows, and Bayern know, that there is German talent that is being wasted, and that is what they have always done, haven't they? They've always served German talent. They have always been the saviors of German talent. They have been how are they called? The Wildlife Authority. Whenever German talent is out there lost, scared, they come out, they bring a blanket, they put you in a cage and take you back to Germany, and make you some kind of robot that scores goals, that keeps clean sheets, that does really well. They've done it with a couple of players. They've done it with Sané, living example. But for Arsenal, the lesson is with is with Serge Gnabry. So I won't be surprised if Bayern attempt to take Bernd Leno. I won't be surprised. But the strongest links are with Inter Milan. They're saying that they need a long-term replacement for their long-serving goalkeeper if he leaves. And look, I have no problem with him going to Italy. If Leno goes to Italy, no problem. My concern, though, is don't let him go in January. Can we keep him until the summer? It's a big ask for a player like Leno to stay at a club where he's sitting on the bench. But it's a very big ask. But I will still ask that he stays until the summer. It's difficult. It's difficult. Next season, I don't expect him to be with Arsenal. Honestly, next season I don't expect Leno to be with Arsenal. Out of the picture. And I agree with that, but I don't want to lose him in January. It makes no sense. We lose him in January. We start dealing with goalkeeper situations. Probably we could bring in David Raya in the summer. I love that guy. We could bring him David Raya, and he would help us push Aaron Ramsdale to a better level. Probably he would, because both of them are very good goalkeepers. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Leno leaving? And I think the last two stories we will discuss will be Gabriel Martinelli and Dominic Szoboszlai, which I think won't take a lot of time. So look, let's get some of your comments, right? Jordi Mabaya says that we should get top 4. Look, we should get top 4. Have you put in mind the continuity and cohesiveness that Liverpool have? Have you put in mind the continuity, quality, and cohesiveness of Manchester City? Have you put in mind the quality United possess as a side? Have you put in mind the quality Chelsea possess as a side? Have you thought of the consistency of West Ham under David Moyes? Have you put into consideration all of those? When you put those in consideration and think again, I think top 6 is good for us in this season. Very good. Mohammed says, hi, what about Donny van der Beek? If we miss Dennis, look, I don't want to flatter myself. I love Donny van der Beek. I'm a big fan. Look, I watched his very long interview. I think it was with the likes of Rio Ferdinand. All of it. I think it was Van der Beek, was it Ferdinand and Stephen Howson from the Stratford Paddock. I watched all of it because I love the content creators, but I love Donny van der Beek. I rate him. How I rate him so much. So and you remember me saying that if I got a player like Donny van der Beek, this was a little bit getting exciting, but I remember myself saying that if I got a player like Donny van der Beek, I would actually play him with Albert Sambi Lokonga and see how that midfield partnership could actually work out, right? That means I'm betting Partey, right? But anyway, just to answer your question, Kenneth, Mohammed, yes, I would take Donny, but what would be the kind of bureaucracy we go through? What is the kind of bureaucracy? What is the red tape that we go through to sign him? It's a lot. United don't want to sign. They made so many mistakes in their lives. The last mistake they want is to sell such a talent to direct rivals. They don't want to do that. And I know United are smart guys, and I know there are so many smart guys at United. They actually want to do that. Okay. Another question is from Kenneth. Comment says we as well may grab Cossy from Milan or Solomon. If you mean, look, I don't know the Solomon you mean, but if you're meaning Maina Solomon, he's not the answer. Maina Solomon, to creativity, he is the answer. To the topic, to the problem that we are going to face in January of Partey being out, of El Neni being out in AFCON, and a couple of other players, Maina Solomon is not the answer. Not the answer. Absolutely. Very away from the answer. Okay. But I will talk about Stephen Cossy. Wow. Cossy, is it called Stephen Cossy? Cossy, Milan, that guy. Here is, he always has that, those, are they called sagging pants? He's a very, very great midfielder. I rate him a lot. I absolutely rate Cossy a lot. He's a very, very good player. But I'm going to tell you one or two things, and we might disagree. We might agree to disagree, or we might agree to agree, or agree or disagree. Or we might agree and disagree and agree to disagree, right? Milan, however much, look, those boys at Milan are dreadful in the Champions League. They have collected 1 point out of their last 4 games in the Champions League. They're not going to go to Europa League even if they continue with that poor form. They're not going to Champions League. I mean, they're not going to the round of 16. They're not going to Europa League. They will drop out. And you know what? Milan won't sell Cossy in January because they are in the title race. Look, somebody say hallelujah if you're an AC Milan fan. Somebody say hallelujah if you're an AC Milan fan. Those guys are actually joint top with Napoli. Can you believe it? What a turnaround. What a turnaround. They're joint. Look, it is still too early. I mean, they played 12 games, 11 games as well. I think it's about 12 or 11 games, this season. So it's still too early to say, oh, Milan are going to win the league. But at this point in time, they have qualified for the Champions League, and that shows you how progressive they've been over the past 2-3 years. Because we remember that dreadful Milan that had officially become mid-table, just like Arsenal, right? But I think over the last 2 years, their recruitment has been good, very, very good. And I also think that the way they have approached their strategy in trying to take back the club to top has also been very, very good. So this season, they're already in the title race. And the big, the backing dogs, that is Juve and Inter Milan, they're at some they're at some distance. So if Milan can make it 18 games by January and make that U-turn as stable leaders, they'll be definitely, look, the times when you make you are up the table like we are at the moment, like West Ham are at the moment, and you feel like you might not actually be there for a long time or be there forever. But as the season matures, you start believing, you start feeling like we can do it. You start feeling like this is it. Maybe this is our season. I feel Milan will be feeling, will be getting the same feeling, and they'll be feeling in the same way. So my point is, Cossy is a good player. He would be a total upgrade to the Arsenal midfield, but Milan are not in the romance modes right now. They're not in the romance modes, trust me. Modes for romance, Milan, it's not their thing right now. Not Cossy, at least not Cossy. All right. Glenn says, do you think we need a backup centre back in Jan, or do you trust Murray, Rob Holding, Chambers? Look, I feel we have 30 days to deal with already a lot, moving out players and bringing in at least two other players. But just to answer your question directly, because I want top 6, because I want to do Europa League predicted lineups, because I want to do Europa League match reactions, because I want to watch Europa League, because I want Arsenal to go back to the Champions League as well. And that only comes by if Arsenal can get a broader squad with a breadth in quality. It's not a priority, but I would do with one. Yeah, I would do with one. If look, I don't know if the problem with a backup centre back is, who do you bring in? It's so hard. Who do you bring in? I mean, which decent centre back is going to come to your club to be a backup? I doubt there is. So we might need to work with Pablo Mari. But look, I don't trust any of the lads you've mentioned. Not any of them. And actually, I think what Edu can do though is if he can move on Rob Holding probably to Newcastle and move on Chambers as well, probably could bring in a versatile player who can actually do the job. But if it comes to Arsenal and if it comes to Arsenal and getting in a centre back, I feel that is really away really away from what we might do in January. All right. Dennis, you said, what position do you expect Arsenal will be? I still feel position 6 is where we will be, but we can fight for position 5 as well. I feel top 6 will be there, but I still feel like 5 is okay. 5 is okay as well, as long as we can build that and probably compete favorably for top 4 next season. Okay, Oluranti says we will end up 3rd this season. Look, it's not bad to be optimistic. It is not really bad to be optimistic. And the fact that we are winning games, we have all rights in the world to be absolutely deluded, right? We have all the rights in the world to be deluded, to be optimistic, to be forward thinking, to be positive, to do and call it whatever you want. But one thing you should never forget, and one thing we can't forget, is that all the time, there is what you call a process. Whenever you have a process, you have setbacks and you have strong points. We have had setbacks at the beginning of the season. Now we are enjoying the strong points, but that is not it, guys. That is not it. We're going to lose a couple of games all along the way. We're going to draw a couple of games along the way. We're going to lose stupid points along the way. But can we hold it? For me, top 5 would be good, but top 3, I would take that. Obviously, it's my team. I would even take the title, right? I would take the title as well. Okay. I need these questions to be answered, all of them. Dixon says Arsenal scouting is very unpredictable. Going by their recruitment last summer, they seem to keep everyone guessing about their potential buyers, which is something good. Based on the fact that Arsene Wenger said United were sitting in the, were lingering in the shadows. The moment we talked to Cristiano, they snatched him, and there's so many players that they snatched off our fingertips. So it is very good. It is very, very good. If we are keeping our business silent, if you're keeping our business patterns unpredictable, it is very good. Very, very good, Dixon. Jody says Van der Beek's underrated. Look, I don't think it's underrated. I just feel like the problem is with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I also feel like he's one of those unlucky players, just like Martinelli. Look, they are good, but they're not getting the game time, right? And that doesn't take anything away from them. They're good players. So I don't feel it's like I don't feel like he's underrated. I just feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to give him the game time, and I hope he does. Right? I hope he does. I really, really hope he does. Okay. Stella says hi. Cossy, good evening. I'm late. I have missed the topic. But how are you guys? Stella from UG. I have missed you guys, but I'm back. Cossy, how can I get you on Twitter? Please follow my Twitter handle. Right? Follow my Twitter handle. It is it's called Cossy's Snow Podcast. Look for that man. Right? Look for that man, or just look for Cossy. Right? Just look for Cossy on Twitter. You will see you'll see me there on what is it called? Is it called a Twitter wallpaper and the Arsenal logo? And you'll be able to get me there. So I'm always there on Twitter. Mohammed says Cossy, Chelsea, Liverpool, African players like Salah, Mane, Keita, and Senegal goalkeeper Eduardo Mendy. And also Arsenal's Thomas Partey will go for AFCON in January. Arsenal must bring in Zakaria or Danny Van der Beek. I think United is going to... Look, you have a point. It's a very, very great point. You've been listening to me probably. And that's why, we have the same thought. But it's difficult. It's difficult for us to bring in a player like Donny Van der Beek. It's difficult. But look, Zakaria, Yeah, that one we can do the deal. Darius says, wait, Cossy, are you Mganda? I had yesterday's audio behind the video when you broadcasted. Yes, I am, bro. Yes, I am, bro. If that is going to earn me some money, yes, I am. Of course, I'm kidding, but I am. I am. If you look at my Twitter, if you look at my Twitter account, you will see my names, right? So if you want to send me some of my money because of my tribe, please make sure you do. Thomas Fury says, "Hi, Cosis. Do we believe in our? Do we believe our club can spend? Look, there is only one way to find out, isn't it? There is only one way to find out. Personally, right? Personally, I feel like now Arsenal can do their thing, right? If they do not want to spend 100 million every summer, it's okay. If they want to spend 60 million per summer, it's okay, because the structure has been laid. What we need is a striker. We could just splash 60 million next summer on a striker, end it at that. In the coming summer, we're getting a decent central midfielder, end it at that. In the other summer, and do it like that. So I still feel like if it is spending money within the range of 50 million to 60 million per summer, yes, we can. 150, can we replicate another 156 million? It's difficult. Absolutely difficult. Okay. Prince says, "Hi, Cossy. I joined you late. Today, has Zakaria been signed?" Not yet. Not really yet. Vincent, hello, Cossy. How are you doing, mate? I'm brilliant today. David Benson says, "I don't know, but I really feel Arsenal has a chance to compete for Premier League. For me, forget other positions." Guys, look, at times it is us being loyal Arsenal fans. And that is what it means to be a loyal Arsenal fan. You see your club as the club it should be, rather than the club it is pretending to be. Because Arsenal is a big club. Whether they do a lot of nonsense, they are a big club. And we should be, look, I've already said this, and I've already taken us as the Dortmund of Germany. We should be competing for the first three positions. First three. That is where we should be. However competitive it is, however difficult it is, that is where we should be competing. It is. And look, if you feel like we can compete for the Premier League, well done, mate. Anu says, "Cossy, I don't think United will give us Van." You're right. And says it's better for Zakaria very early in January. Absolutely right. Prince says, "Please repeat your Twitter handle again." Thanks. Twitter handle, just look for @Cossy, right? Just look for @Cossy. You'll be able to find me on just @Cossy. COSSY. As simple as that. And you guys will be able to link up with me on Twitter. And then Anu says, "Let's forget Van der Beek." But look, I don't think it's a big blow. I don't think it's a big blow if Arsenal don't get Donny Van der Beek. It's not a big blow. Not at all. Not even, not anywhere close when we don't get Donny Van der Beek. Not anywhere close, right? Not anywhere close. Because, in the first instance, we don't, in the first instance, we don't need to get our hopes very, very high on a player that we know, has very, very less chances to sign for our club. If it is Zakaria, maybe hopes can be high. If it is Bissouma, hopes can be high. But the rest, Donny Van der Beek, among all players, to put us on pressure, we have enough pressure, right? We have enough blood pressure. We can't afford that. We have enough, we have enough pressure. We really can't afford that. Guys, let's speak about the last two, which is Gabriel Martinelli and Dominic Szoboszlai. And I'll be taking your comments as well. Anu says Instagram. Instagram is Cossy19. Instagram is Cossy19. Check me out there. I'm also on TikTok. You'll find me at Cossy111 on TikTok. Definitely. Anu says Arsenal are bigger than any other than any player. Whether we lose all our targets, Arsenal is Arsenal. Definitely. Thank you so much, bro. Big point. Big point. And Vincent says Zakaria will be perfect. Will be a perfect fit for Arsenal. Look, I feel it's good. I feel he's a good player. Yeah, I feel he's a very, very good player. So we shouldn't even flinch, right? Right? We shouldn't even flinch when it comes to getting him. We shouldn't panic. We should be gentlemen. Get the deal done over the line. Okay. I want to talk about the last two stories, just briefly. One is Martinelli's loan deal, and probably this is one of the stories that should feature tomorrow. Martinelli's loan deal to in January. We've not seen a club yet. Now, look, there are two perspectives to look at this. One is the perspective that the club are not going to give him enough game time in the season, and he needs it. So probably we could let him go on loan to gather game time, which is good for the player. But guys, Gabriel Martinelli for me is a player who should be fighting to start, not even to appear in the squad, but to start for Arsenal. He should be fighting to start for Arsenal, right? That is what I think. He should be fighting to start for Arsenal. And all the talk around him going out on loan is coming from from the fact that he's frustrated with the lack of game time. And I don't understand. Mikel, in the past 3 games that we've played, we've been leaders. We've led all those 3 games by the 80th minute. Why hasn't Martinelli got at least, why hasn't Martinelli averaged 10 minutes per game? Because for me, I think if it should be averaging at least 15 minutes. Bring him on in the 75th minute. Bring him on in the 70th minute. Because he's a player, even if we have not scored yet, he's a player that can influence the game. So I'm still asking myself, but look, I've always said this, that at times managers know why they take these decisions, and I still feel like Mikel knows better why he has not played the lad. So I'm not really going to be very, very, very critical of him. But what I'm going to say is he needs to give him game time. He needs to give him some game time. We can't let Gabriel Martinelli go in January. Aubameyang is leaving. Obviously, Martinelli knows how things are running at the club. He's been here for now 2 years. He's still young, yes, but he knows how things are running. He's going to be a very, very useful player in January. So I don't want to hear of anything close to Arsenal getting a loan deal for Gabriel Martinelli. It won't make any sense for me. And lastly, Dominic Szoboszlai linked back with Arsenal. I think we still need a number 10. We still need a number 10, but now it is different. For a player like for Arsenal to sign a player like Dominic Szoboszlai, Pepe will have to first leave. If Pepe leaves, because now where Pepe plays, you have Emile Smith-Rowe. So if maybe Pepe leaves and maybe another player on the wings leaves the club as well, or a forward like Eddie Nketiah, if they leave, right? If they leave, that is when we can see a player like Dominic Szoboszlai. But at the moment, it is still just stock, and I don't see Dominic Szoboszlai anywhere close. Michael says, I think we can go for a striker like Antonio or Tony. Then we can compete for top 4, because I don't think Alba will take us to top 4 when missing great chances. I mean, there is an Aubameyang. There is an Aubameyang concern. There is a concern about Aubameyang missing the chances. The fraudulencia and everything like that. But I really don't want to get onto Aubameyang, honestly. I don't want to get onto Aubameyang. I want to stay strong and focused. Let's see if the team can pull in the same direction. Because the good thing with this Arsenal side now is that it's not about one player. It's about a unit pulling in the same direction. So, look, if Aubameyang doesn't do it, can we give Martinelli a chance? Look, you've talked about Antonio or Tony. Tony has also not scored very many goals this season. Antonio has done it. And look, I wouldn't actually take him. I don't know why. I wouldn't take him. But that is me being just selective, right? But look, if you got a player like Antonio, really, really influential. Really influential. But both of them, I think Antonio is out of the age bracket we're looking at. I think Ivan Toney could be in that age bracket. But the quality, I think we can still get better quality. Anu says Martinelli should not be loaned out. No. And Lucky says, Cossy, I agree with you. I wish Arteta will have the balls to say, Aubameyang, you've tried hard. Let's give Martinelli a chance as well. Guys, thanks everybody. Make sure you hit the like button, people. Make sure you hit the like button. Thanks everybody for doing that. Thank you so much, guys. For hitting the like button. It really means a lot, by the way, when you get this the likes smashed up and everything around the place. So that is it, guys. Then it's Zakaria, a swap deal with Nketiah. We've talked about that in depth in the first 17 minutes. If you missed anything, make sure you do check out the first 17 minutes of the show. I'm going to be signing out. I'll speak to you very, very soon. And I'm going to say kwaheri for now.